Well, get ready now because we have another Fox 5 exclusive.
Did a man facing potentially serious criminal charges wiggle out of trouble because of his connections?
Fox 5's John Dutzman gets his hands on documents that raise serious questions about a city investigation.
Alan, your timesheets puzzle me a little bit.
This is Alan Patrikoff, a senior parking ticket judge, a freelancer working for the city's Department of Finance who gets paid by the hour. Turns out lots of hours. When we started watching him more than 2 years ago, his job was to supervise other judges at this Queens business center where people come to fight tickets. But was anyone keeping an eye on him? We sure saw some weird stuff. Here we caught him leaving work at 3:24. The log sheet he filled in has him working until 6:15, almost 3 hours longer. Could he be cheating the city out of 3 hours? On another day, he gets out of a car at 9:13. His login sheet says he started 45 minutes earlier at 8:30. Could he be cheating here by 45 minutes? And here the log sheet says he left at 6:30. He really skipped out earlier at 6:05. A 25-minute cheat?
Alan, can you tell me why your login sheets don't match the actual times that we see you at work?
I don't understand.
How about last Wednesday? How about Wednesday? You logged out at 6:15 and you were home already at 4.
Thank you.
I don't understand.
You don't understand?
We understood that Patrikoff was making about $48 an hour at the time, and he racked up more hours and made more money than anyone else with his job title. These login sheets show, unlike any other judge, Patrikoff put in for lots of 10 and 11-hour days, more than 2,200 hours in 2006. It adds up to about $109 grand, making him at the time one of the highest-paid ticket judges in the city, 30 grand more than the other senior judge who worked in the very same office. Back then, a spokesman for the Department of Finance had an explanation for the day it appeared Alan Patrikoff was cheating the city of almost 3 hours worth of time. The spokesperson, Sam Miller, said Alan made a mistake on his timesheet and corrected the error. As for the other 2 times we caught Patrikoff, the very same spokesperson claimed Fox 5 was making false accusations.
But the city's Department of Investigation, the agency that investigates corruption, conducted their own investigation, and they found the same type of stuff we did.
Investigators used the log sheets where everyone is supposed to precisely enter the time they started, even the time they went out for lunch, came back in from lunch, their out time for the day, and their total hours. And they compared these log sheets to other records of Patrikoff's comings and goings, which included Easy Pass records from the Triborough Bridge, where Alan traveled to and from work in this SUV. They also looked at door access card records at the office. And in this closing memorandum of the investigation obtained by Fox 5, it says the Department of Investigation, or DOI, determined that there were discrepancies between these records, specifically with respect to Alan Patrikoff's arrival and departure times at the QBC, or Queens Business Center.
Confronted with all this damaging evidence and under oath, Patrikoff admitted his log sheets really didn't make sense, but he had an explanation for it.
He claimed it was his practice to add additional hours that he worked from his home or his vehicle so that he would be compensated for that time.
Now, there are some strange things about Patrikoff's explanation. First of all, 2 current and 2 former ticket judges tell us they were never allowed to do work at home. Also, what work did he do at home? We asked for evidence of that work from both DOI and the Department of Finance. We didn't get any. And also, Finance has told us all along that Patrikoff made a mistake on his timesheet. They never told us about his claim that he did work at home or in the car.
And insiders tell Fox 5 the department is picky about these log sheets. They claim judges are chewed out or disciplined if a judge's time is off by just a few minutes.
Let's say you buy the fact that Alan was working at home and in the car. Well, how do you explain the fact that immediately after we started asking him questions, his hours were reduced dramatically?
In fact, magically, according to city records, right after this interview with Patrikoff, the judge's hours were down 44% in the next 4 months. Now, the city's DOI has a reputation for being tough, But for some reason in this case, Inspector General Gia Morris and Associate Commissioner Robert Joyce decided not to pursue a criminal case. Instead, they left any decision about Patrikoff to this woman.
How you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Her name is Martha Stark, a powerful city commissioner, and she runs the Department of Finance. Just so happens the number 2 person in charge of finance is Rochelle Patrikoff, a close ally of Stark, and yes, she's the wife of Alan Patrikoff, the guy being investigated.
Now, before we go on, it's important for you to know that for years, fellow judges and insiders here complained that Patrikoff was getting special treatment because of who his wife was.
DOI turned evidence against Patrikoff over to Martha Stark to conduct her own supposedly independent investigation. And she concluded that while Alan Patrikoff's timesheets do not reflect the time he was physically present at the Queens Business Center, they accurately reflected the amount of time he actually performed work and services to the Department of Finance. Relying on Stark's findings, Patrikoff gets off the hook. City investigators say it's recommended that this case be closed. Now, 2 years ago when we asked Stark about this problem,
What about the timesheet thing that we caught him with, Mark?
the commissioner ran into a snowbank with her city car.
Now, we asked the Department of Finance and the Department of Investigation about apparent holes in this investigation, but both agencies told us the case is closed and had no comment. I'm John Dutzman, Fox 5 News.
Okay, John, and Alan Patrikoff still works as a senior parking ticket judge. And if you want to see a copy of the city's investigation or John Dutzman's blog onto this story, you can go to our website, myfoxny.com, click on the Investigations tab.